Welcome to Up to the Minute. It is the 21st of April. Welcome to the show. We've got your HCC news and information for the next half hour or so. I'm Todd Duplantis. Thanks for being here with us. We've got a good show lined up. We're going to talk about future careers for our students. And maybe you're planning on taking a vacation this summer, maybe doing a little hiking. We'll get some tips on that as well. We've got Brittany Pacheco joining us. If she could, are you done fixing your hair, Brittany?
Never done fixing my hair, Todd. You know, it's just a thing. I gotta look good for the camera. Come on.
There you go. There you go. How's it going this morning?
You know, it's going. We are halfway through the work week. Little bit of a struggle this morning. You know, I was just very comfortable in bed, didn't want to get up, but I am here to co-host and tell everyone here on Up to the Minute that we are very glad that you are joining us this morning. Do take the opportunity to take the time, to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm going to say LinkedIn because I know one of our guests is a big fan of LinkedIn. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to find out the latest from us. And to our audience, be sure to share this podcast by clicking that button that says share at the bottom of this broadcast. That way it shows up on your personal news feed and we can grow our audience. But just more importantly, we can share this great information to those who are not following. And Todd, I got to go because my dog is incredibly needy. She's got to go outside and do her business. So I'll be back.
All right. We'll check in with you in a little while, Brittany. Thanks. Okay. So plan on doing a little vacation this summer, getting out, getting back out again. Well, we're going to be talking about hiking, some things you should be doing to prepare yourself for a hike this summer. Dr. Christopher Segler is a foot and ankle surgeon, a former HCC student, and he's Doc on the Run. He's joining us this morning. Good morning, Chris. Oh, your mic's off right now.
Sorry about that. Thanks for having me on the show today.
All right. We're going to check in with you in a little while. I know a lot of folks are wanting to know how they can prepare themselves for hiking on a vacation. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay. First off, James Mable, you've met him on the show before. He's back again. He's the Director of Career and Job Placement Services here at HCC. Good morning, James. Good to have you with us.
Good morning, Todd. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone.
Let's talk about a few things before we get into CareerHub and how you can help our students put together their resumes and ultimately get a job. Let's talk about some market data that you have from the Department of Labor and what it means to our graduates.
Yes. First, obviously, the economy has been affected by COVID. But as we're seeing more vaccinations taking place, we saw in the month of March that 900,000 jobs were added to the U.S. economy, which is, I think, historic. It's never happened before, that many jobs being added to the economy in a month, which shows that as more vaccinations are taking place, employers are more confident about, the next few quarters. And so that's great prospects for our students. This means that more employers are in the market to fill jobs that maybe were laid off during the COVID pandemic. And we're seeing that, especially in March and April, that here at HCC Career and Job Placement Services, more and more companies are engaging us and posting jobs than ever. We have over 400 jobs in our system right now, and we know that it's going to start increasing because just how many employers are reaching out from a variety of fields looking to recruit our students. So we're really excited about what the summer has in store for us and the fall semester and so forth. So great data in March.
Yeah, that's certainly good news to hear these jobs are coming back. James, are these jobs, are many of them still remote, or is it a mixture of both?
We see that it's a mixture of both. Some employers, because of their protocol that they had for COVID, are taking it slow as far as opening up. And so you may find a lot of remote positions. I just talked to Home Advisor, for example. Home Advisor is looking to recruit HCC students for remote positions. And then you're going to find some employers are still, doing, limited staff face-to-face. So I think you're going to see both, especially in CareerHub.
Are these the type of jobs that our students can do while they're still attending school, or are these jobs ones they're going to have to dedicate all their time to heading out into the job market?
So, and because productivity is increasing, We're finding that a lot of these jobs are actually full-time, but we've seen some part-time opportunities as well. These are a lot of career opportunities, not just static jobs. So I'm really excited about that because we know that many of our students are juggling school and work and obviously managing and pursuing their careers. So we're really excited that, a lot of these jobs are full-time dynamic jobs.
Let's talk about something that's very important if you're looking for a job, your resume. Tell us about that and something you call the power of the resume.
Yes. So we see resumes every day. Career and Job Placement Services reviews hundreds and hundreds of resumes every year. And I want to make sure students are aware this is probably the most important document that they are going to create because this document is what truly opens doors. Some employers may never see you face to face. How they're going to gauge your potential for a role or your fit for their company is what you place upon your resume. So how you structure that, the information you put there in your education section, your experience section, you want to be as methodical. You want to be as detailed as possible about the information you're placing upon your resume. Like I said, because those employers are going to look at that document first before they make that decision on whether to call you for an interview. So we can't stress that enough, that the resume is still very, very important, especially in this digital environment where everyone is having to apply for positions online and compete. And how can you best compete? You can compete with your resume and cover letter. The resume truly does open doors. It's meant for you to use to get to the interview. And so we can help you be very, very strategic about the information you place on that document.
Of course, information to build your resume, how to put it together. You have that information on CareerHub, along with some mock interview tips and a checklist. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Yes. So we think there are a few items you should keep in mind when you are conducting a strategic job search. First, you have a resource, and that is HCC CareerHub, and many of our students are using that right now. And so one of the requirements is that you have an uploaded and approved resume in CareerHub. And the reason why that's important is because that's how you're going to apply for jobs in our system. Also, this is how we're going to get your resume into employers' hands. We are very, very proactive. We send student resumes to employers that post jobs in our system. So that part is important, having an uploaded and approved resume in CareerHub. Also, we can't stress the importance of knowing how to articulate your value, articulate your skill set and experience to employers in a digital environment. So CareerHub as a video mock interview tool, you can literally on your phone or computer practice interviewing. The video mock interview gives you interview questions. Someone asks you specific interview questions and gives you time to respond to those questions. And after you're done with the interview, you can submit that interview to us for feedback, just like you would for your resume. So I think that is probably the best practice tool that you could use along with our resume builder is practicing interviewing digitally. And we give you very, very robust feedback about how you did in the interview. My suggestion for the video mock interview tool is for the student to dress accordingly and to conduct themselves as they would in a face-to-face interview, being aware of your background, being aware of any distractions while you're on camera. You want to practice because this is how you are going to be successful in the real digital interview going forward.
And James, I imagine most companies now in this world of COVID and the new generation of talent engagement and HR, they're all using these digital formats before they bring you in for a live interview. You may wind up meeting with people online and doing a few phone calls. Is that correct?
Exactly. A lot of major corporations have shifted their interview protocol to where they make offers based upon that second interview. And that second interview doesn't necessarily mean that you're coming in face to face to meet with someone. I know NASA, for example, has said in the past that they conduct their whole interview process online. Wow. And they make offers based upon how that person did in the interview digitally. So be prepared for some employers in their interview protocol or selection process to only interview you digitally and then make you the offer. So it's important to practice interviewing in general, but specifically on camera.
James, one final question. CareerHub is available for our students, our current students, but you're also available for our alumni as well.
Yes, I want students to know first, their access to CareerHub is never interrupted. They're always going to have access to their CareerHub account right now while they're enrolled and as an alumni. And for those out there who've finished at HCC, you can always go to hccs.edu/career planning to request an alumni account. We want everyone to use this very valuable tool. Yeah. This tool is about 3 years old, and many employers are starting to engage us through HCC CareerHub.
Certainly some exciting times. CareerHub, it's available to all our students. And students, it's free. Make sure you sign up and get active with CareerHub. James Mable, Director of HCC's Career Services and Job Placement, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me, Todd. We wish our students success.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Moving on across the country, Dr. Christopher Segler is joining us from the San Francisco area. He's a former HCC student. He's known as Doc on the Run and here for some fitness tips. Chris, you know, things are opening up. People are talking about going on vacation again. And a lot of people like to get in the outdoors now. Hiking, that could be a big thing for a lot of folks going on vacation. Is getting prepared for a hike different than preparing for running?
It is different, you know, and a lot of times we think in them as very similar activities because it's aerobic exercise. You're on your feet, you're moving more or less in a straight line for a long period of time. But it really is different. And so even if you're a strong runner and you decide to join one of your buddies on a backpacking trip, even if you're a marathon runner and you think you're really strong, you might be in for a rude awakening when you hit those hills.
Yeah, it's totally different. You're activating muscles, I guess, that you're really not activating when you're climbing as opposed to running. Is there a guide, like if I'm going to go and I really haven't hiked, should I aim for a distance on a daily basis? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. I think more than anything else, it's really time. Because if you look up specific backpacking trips and you see some of the routes that you might be doing, whether it's in the Rocky Mountains or the Appalachian Trail or the John Muir Trail or, you know, any of that kind of stuff, Pacific Crest Trail, whatever, and you look at what people's goals were for those days, you'll often find that people will write posts where they're shocked at that they thought they were going to do 10 miles, but after 7 miles, they were really surprised by how steep it was, how unstable it was, and they don't really understand why they couldn't do the full 10 miles. So I think it's much better to aim for time on your feet rather than distance.
I go out to Memorial Park a lot and along the Buffalo Bayou trails. And from time to time, I'll see people out there with these sticks they're walking with and they're wearing the heavy boots. Obviously, they're training for a hike. Do I need these sticks when I go on for a hike? Is there a certain equipment that you're going to need to bring out for you? Or can you just wear your regular running shoes?
Well, you can wear your running shoes, but you do not want to hike in running shoes. You know, they're very different for different activities. So even with different types of run, there are lightweight shoes that are for very short, fast runs. There are shoes with more stability, more cushioning for longer runs to protect you. And obviously, you know, when you go out on a backpacking trip and you instantly add another 40 pounds to your back, well, you just had an instant weight gain, basically. And the shoes, the footwear that you're using is going to have to support that weight. So heavyweight backpacking boots are designed to actually transfer a lot of that load from your body through the boot so that you roll more than bend your foot and push off when you're normally walking in a sneaker.
Is there a difference too between hiking and trail running? One thing I think I talked about this a few weeks ago, and I was telling our co-host yesterday, my tip for trail running in Houston, especially if you go to Memorial Park, watch out for the roots because those will kill you. I mean, I can handle the rocks when I'm trail running, but man, those roots, you get hooked on one of those and you'll go tumbling.
Yeah, they will. And, you know, and this is a problem, right, is that, you know, it's very difficult when you're on a windy trail to watch your feet and where you're going in front of you at the same time. And, you know, some of those trails along the bayou and Memorial Park where it's really, really narrow, you know, some of those single track trails, you know, it's a really tight space. And so you're trying not to hit your head or get whacked in the face with a branch and you can't watch the roots at the same time. But that is something to watch out for sure. Because if you get an injury like that, if you roll your ankle on one of those roots a week before you're supposed to leave for your trip, it's going to wreck your vacation. You got to be really careful with that.
Do you have to build up your aerobic fitness before you go on a hike, just like you would running?
You do. So there are a couple of key things, that people, I think everybody thinks it's just aerobic fitness. And if you can walk for 10 miles, then you can walk 10 miles in the Rockies. Well, it doesn't work out that way. You have, the first thing is the aerobic fitness. If you build a very strong base of aerobic fitness, that helps you when you lose oxygen. And when you go up to altitude, well, you're going to lose oxygen. And the more aerobic fitness you have, the less effect you'll feel from that. Obviously, when you're training in Houston, the only thing you can do is really build that aerobic fitness, because you can't really train yourself to be acclimatized to altitude if you're basically training at sea level in Houston. Now, you also have muscular fitness, of course. And, if let's say you run marathons and you run all the time at Memorial Park and even do a little bit of hills along, Allen Parkway at Buffalo Bayou. And then you go out and you go to Rice, or University of Houston or someplace where there's a big stadium, and you go run stairs for half an hour. Well, you could do 4-hour runs on Saturday and not really feel sore on Sunday, but you might go out and run a half-hour stairs and you are cooked for 3 days. Well, that's what happens the first day on the trail. You're not really trained for the muscular strength of climbing hills, and then you hit the mountains and you don't understand why you can't go that 10 miles on the first day, and it's because you don't have the appropriate muscular strength. And then when your form falls apart and you haven't really trained yourself in terms of the balance to associate with your sort of degeneration of your form, well, then you're actually more at risk of getting injured. And so it's really all these things together. It's, the aerobic fitness, it's the strength in your legs designed for the hills and preparing you for those hills, the balance training that actually makes you more stable and actually using less energy as you're hiking up hills. And then you have actually being used to the pack. That's why, you go out and you see somebody wearing an enormous backpack and they're at Memorial Park or something, and it looks a little silly, but that's how you train for it.
Yeah.
When I lived in Houston, I was training for those things. I lived right near Washington and I-10. I probably would not recommend this. I don't even know if it's illegal, truthfully, but I would put on a completely full backpack with all my climbing gear in it, which was very, very heavy, put on my hiking boots, and I would walk up and down the embankment on the side of I-10, which is very, very steep, and it's grassy and unstable. And it was perfect training. Now, 30 minutes of that does an enormous amount of training if you're wearing a heavy pack, but you cannot train for that if you're not doing it.
Right. And here in Houston, we have some hills, you can do a little hill training, but we really don't have mountains here in Houston. You got to go to far West Texas for that. But on some mountains I've noticed, like, for example, when I go to Tennessee, I can run on top of the mountains there. No big deal. But some people will deal with altitude problems. Is that something you can expect if you're going to go mountain hiking?
Yeah, you just have to assume that you're going to be a little short of breath, and it's going to be a little bit harder to do everything when you hit real altitude. So if you're, in the Cascades or the Sierra Nevada or the Rocky Mountains, well, you're going to hit real significant altitudes. And if you do, there's not really a really effective way to train for that. There's sort of altitude training techniques and stuff where you can go into oxygen deprivation chambers and all that. But the key here is that everybody wants something that's going to really give them an edge, but nothing will give you an edge like daily consistent training and really, making sure that you're prepared for those things that you can really control.
I know a real thing is altitude sickness, and your sister even had it, didn't even know she had it, and she's a very fit person. Is that something you need to watch out for? And how do you know if you have it? Because from what I understand, it comes on pretty quickly, and you may not know you have it until you got it.
Yeah, it does. It's unfortunate because some of the stuff that really signals altitude sickness first is basically being in a really foul mood. And, so the problem is you don't feel well. You don't actually put your finger on it. Like when you eat a bad meal and your stomach gets upset. But a lot of times it starts with really simple things like, you have a headache, you just feel a little more irritable and a little more discontent maybe. And all of those things actually can be the early signs of altitude sickness. And then if you continue to progress upward at a rapid pace, well, it'll just get worse. But if you start to get it and you can, even if you can descend a little bit, if you have maybe a route that's going up and down as it sort of undulates up the mountain, anytime you go back down and can sleep where it's a little bit lower, it actually really does a lot to help you get over the altitude sickness. But altitude sickness is not predictable. A lot of people want to hope or believe that it's somehow dependent upon their level of fitness or how strong-willed they are. It has nothing to do with that. Some people really get affected by altitude sickness and some people don't. And, it's just the way that you're built. And so it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just the way it is. And you have to really respect it and make sure that you're paying attention. And, if you start getting a headache and you've been hydrating and that you've done all the right stuff, well, then you can kind of assume that it's probably the onset of some, altitude sickness a little bit.
Definitely some interesting points, especially if you're headed out for a hike this summer. Enjoy the vacation, but stay safe. Chris, thanks for being here today. What do you have in store for us next time you're on the show?
Yeah, next week we're going to talk about the next show. We're going to talk about the 3 exercises that you can do. Now, these are tests that I've been using for years that you can actually do, not just as tests to evaluate your level of fitness and risk of injury, like one of those ankle sprains you're talking about, when you catch your foot on a root, but they actually make you more stable. And if you're more stable, you're going to be more efficient. So we're going to talk about those 3 exercises that you can do at home to make sure that you're more stable and get more mileage out of your fitness when you're either running or hiking.
Well, we have a perfect model for you. Brittany will volunteer for the exercises, so we'll use her in the show next time.
All right. That sounds great.
All right, Chris, thanks for being here. Dr. Christopher Segler, he's known as the Doc on the Run. He has a podcast. He also has a newsletter, too. If you go to his website, you can sign up and get some daily tips on staying fit and healthy when you're out running. Thanks for being here, Chris.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're going to move on to Brittany. Brittany, how's your stability? You think you could use a little help there?
3 things. 1, as I took out Luna, I nearly tripped on a root. 2, I have suffered from altitude sickness when I went to Santa Fe because, man, that altitude is no joke. I remember talking to one of the hotel staff members saying like, oh yeah, we have an oxygen bar just up the road. And I'm like, that's a thing here? Anyway, and then 3, I will not be volunteering for next week's demonstration. I'm good.
You got good news. 2 weeks, you'll do the demonstration. So we'll give you 2 weeks to volunteer.
I might be off, Todd.
All right. Okay. All right, Brittany, let's get on to our HCC news and information. The levels of basic human needs. This is something our counseling department is putting on.
Yes, that's right. So HCC Central Counselor Nicole Loving will discuss American psychologist Abraham Maslow's theory and human decision-making. That human decision-making is based on 5 core needs that motivate our behavior. I wonder if that also attributes to altitude sickness. But that's going on today at 11 a.m., just shortly after this podcast concludes. We will have the registration info after this pod posts. Wow, that was hard to say.
There you go. All right. So another thing that's happening at 11:30 today, the MBDA Virtual Subs and Sandwiches with the Port of Houston, HCC's Minority Business Development Association. They're still getting together for back to business matching, targeting minority business enterprises. Want to get some information on this? Bring your own subs. It's still virtual. It happens today, April 21st from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll have the information on the HCC events calendar. You can register, and of course, it's free. All right, diversity awareness, that's happening as well, Brittany.
Intersectionality. In another counseling series hosted by Coleman College Student Life and their SGA, attendees can discover how overlapping categories of identity impact individuals and institutions when it comes to stress, anxiety, and self-care. Now that's going on tomorrow, April 22nd at 1 p.m. Their speaker will be Brandy Lerman. To register, we'll include the tiny URL link after this post.
We had Dr. Manaz Kolani on the show last week talking about this next event that's happening. It's a series of events, building a sense of belonging. Several gatherings of HCC faculty, staff, and community partners are providing opportunities for action-oriented approaches to a more connected and inclusive environment for us all. 9 a.m. to noon, Friday, April the 23rd. That's this first one. And there's another one on the 30th of April. Keynote speakers include HCC students, folks from the legal department, the Office of, Inclusion and Equity, and also the EEOC. Check your emails for updates and to register. Path to Profession, like a traditional work study program. Brittany, this provides students with job opportunities.
That's right. Job opportunities in their field by securing positions with community business partners, allowing them to earn money and gain real world experience. Now, the link for that info we will include in the post after the show, but simply it's hccs.edu path, the number 2 profession. But again, we'll include that in the post after the show.
You know, we've been talking about this a lot on the show as well. We can't mention it enough. Fast track training for free. That's right. HCC has a list of training programs that you can get in and out and into a high demand job. If you qualify, they could be free. That means your tuition's paid for. It's paid for by grants, so you don't have to pay it back. Jobs include everything from air conditioning to cybersecurity to logistics to welding. There's even some health careers in there as well. Short-term training, grants pay your tuition. You sign up, you get the course, and you can go to our website and search Fast Track Training, or there's a direct link. It's hccs.edu/fast-track. So make sure you check that out as well. One thing, you know, Brittany, my daughter, she's going to U of H. She's about to get into a graduate program. Well, you know, these part-time jobs and jobs she have just aren't cutting it to pay for her tuition. So she's actually thinking of doing this summer.
That'd be great.
She wants to go into the health field. So she's going to go take one of these courses, get the training over the summer, and then get into a field full time in the fall. And then her plan is to then enroll in graduate school. So she's got a full-time job. She's trained, you know, she's working somewhat in her profession, but she'll have the money to pay for graduate school. So, you know, it just goes to show you, it can help a lot of folks.
Definitely. There are, as we always try to tell those watching and our current students, that there's opportunities here at HCC, of course, and the fact that you can utilize this fast track program to, you know, advance your skills, get your foot in the door for what it is that you want to do for the rest of your life. I mean, who wouldn't want to, you know, take that opportunity? So congratulations to your daughter. I hope she is thoroughly successful in whatever it is that she wants to pursue, and best of luck to her for grad school, you know, because it's tough.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's tough. And, you know, just having, you know, having, you know, dependable income coming in, you know, where you have a great job means a whole lot when you're going to grad school. So that, you know, something like this, it just goes to show you, you can be a returning student, you can be going to another college. This fast track training really fits all types of folks. So one thing to keep in mind is our registration is underway for both the summer and the fall, Brittany. There are 5 course delivery options, but you can go to one website to find it all.
And that one website is hccs.edu/now. And quickly, the 5 modalities are online anytime, online on a schedule, and we're offering very small face-to-face courses this upcoming summer and fall, along with our hybrid lab and our hybrid courses. Now, for more information on what those modalities are, once again, go to hccs.edu/now. My one piece of advice: register early. You want to be sure to secure those classes, especially those small face-to-face classes, because they're going to fill up extremely quickly. So once again, go to hccs.edu/now to check out all of our programs and our methods of learning.
There you go. All right. Tomorrow on the show, we've got one of our NISOD award winners, Gregory Tyndall of the Material Science Center of Excellence. We'll be talking about their welding program and his award. And tomorrow, Brittany, it's Thursday, Virtual Family Fun Day.
That's right. So Virtual Family Fun Day and also Earth Day. Now, the Houston Museum of Natural Science will be here to talk about its special events in store in honor of Mother Earth. Earth. Wow. It's a morning.
Earth. Not Earth. Earth is what your dog does. Earth. All right.
Earth. Gaia.
Earth. All right. So there we go. We made it through another show. Okay. Hey, folks. Brittany will be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. And hopefully we'll see you live right here, 10 a.m. on Up to the Minute.